Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carolina, and I'm here on behalf of Branders Magazine Colombia, which is a specialized marketing and branding magazine from all South America. And I'm here with David Tyreman. He's a world-famous branding expert, a business consultant, a great speaker, and author of world-famous How to Create a Kick-Ass Brand. Thank you for joining us, David.
Hey, I'm really happy to be here.
Okay, David. Before starting with the questions, the readers would like to know more about you. Could you please share a little bit about your experience, and can you talk about the history and evolution of your company?
Sure. So I'm from England, and I got my degree. I had a job in London, and I couldn't bear working for a company. So a friend of mine and I came on vacation to the States, and whilst on vacation, we're like, I want to live here. I want to have an adventure. I want to do something different. And so we started talking about, well, what can we do? And so our first idea was to bring antiques. We saw all these antique stores with high prices on English sort of antique stuff. So we thought, well, we can do that. So we started our business with $5,000 each. We bought just a small amount of antiques and vintage things, and our big idea was to sell them the way that you buy Tupperware, so like Tupperware parties. And it was a huge failure, and we got down to our last $20 after 6 months, and so we didn't know what to do. So we actually went to this bar where they sold all the beer you can drink for $7, and so we went and just got drunk and talked about everything that we'd done over the last several months getting to this place. And it was one of those nights where I realized I was so worried about being broke, and I was so worried about going home a failure, that I really realized, I'm loving this journey. And so the next day is when I made a vow to really, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but to really somehow find a way of making my business succeed. And so we knew that the antique parties didn't work, so we started looking at stores. And we started noticing that people like Polo, Ralph Lauren, Nike, Guess, all of these stores could use the things that we had. So we started calling them, and we started walking into the stores. And it took a long time, and it took a lot of work, but I'm going to fast forward the story because I know we don't have much time. Within 7 years, my company, if you've ever been into a Ralph Lauren store, and seen all the trunks they use, and the suitcases, and the dumbbells, and the mountain bikes, and all the things that they use to tell the story of their brand. Well, my company ended up supplying every Ralph Lauren store on the whole planet, every single one. Our business really, really grew fast. Every Banana Republic, every Guess store, every Nike store, Nordstrom's, Macy's, the list went on. And we got and then we realized, hang on, we're not selling antiques. We're helping differentiate spaces and differentiate businesses. We're helping our customers build brands. And so then we realized, wait, we don't have a brand. We're just a vendor. So we got busy building our own brand, and we renamed our company Propaganda. And we got so much attention by building our brand. We got on CNN, on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, of thousands of magazines, newspapers, TV shows, for our unique way of building a business and growing a brand. And I got so excited about it. And then people would ask me, how did you do this? Because we went from we were 24 years old, two people just coming to the States and going broke. And then 7 years later, having this $20 million company. So people started asking me, how did you do it? So I started speaking, and I started trying to put my information into list forms so that people could follow it. And then I realized, this is what I want to do. So I sold that company, Propaganda, in 2000, created this company called the World Famous Company. And now I work with with startups, with well-known companies like Bacardi. I work with a whole range of different types of business, from small single-person entrepreneurial businesses to large teams, to help them understand what really makes them unique and valuable in the market. And that's how I got here.
Oh wow, amazing! It really sounds like a storybook, like not a business book, but yeah, wow, quite unbelievable transformation and evolution. And I wanted to talk about, David, you talk about three key components to build a brand. You talk about this a lot. One of them is the differentiation that you just named, communication and connection. Can you please explain why those three are essential for a brand?
Well, I'm just going to go back a step to explain that. I have kind of a quote that I use a lot, and I say, a business without a brand is a vendor, and vending is for machines. And so, and normally in front of an audience that gets a laugh, but the truth is, if you don't have a brand, you're just a vendor. You're just selling products or services. And sometimes, well, nearly all the time when I'm speaking and I meet all the audience afterwards, people have shared with me how they feel that the customers are just fickle because they're their client one day and then they move on the next. And the biggest reason for that is because you don't have a brand. So a brand is what makes you what makes your business almost like a person, as something that people can actually have a relationship with. And my goal always is, I hear people all the time, my girlfriend say, oh, I just love my Louis Vuitton bag, or I love my Jimmy Choo shoes, or I love my new Mini Cooper. And you hear the word love associated with brands. And that is an amazing thing. You can actually, people automatically can say, I love this brand. That's the goal for us. We have to believe and understand we're not just selling products and services, we're actually stimulating people's emotion and stimulating the most important emotion, which is love. And that's the goal. So when we talk about differentiation, yes, we have to look and see what makes us different and better than everybody else who does what we do. But we have to also look beyond that. We have to, at some point, forget all about competition, because I don't like competition. It doesn't feel good. It makes you feel overwhelmed and small and insecure. So we have to look at things that are really specific to you and why you started your business. What's your point of view? What makes you you? What do you care about for your customers? And we've just got to ask some really important questions to build the foundation of the brand. So the secret to differentiation, so many people think, oh, it's my logo. And it's a huge mistake to think your brand is your logo. Your logo is really just like a street sign, letting people know they're in the right place. It doesn't mean that you have a brand. And people spend way too much money trying to get their logo right without knowing who they are. So we've got to, what I'd like to do, I've got 1 minute just to explain something really important about building a brand. You have to understand the distinction between branding and brand identity. And what I'm going to tell you right now, 99% of businesses don't know this. So you're going to be given some information that just about nobody understands. Even people running big, huge corporations don't understand this. So listen carefully and make notes. I'll start with branding. Branding is the packaging on products you buy. Branding is your website. Branding is a business card if you have one. Branding is a logo. Branding is the message you have on your voicemail. Branding is advertising and marketing and all your social media. So branding is anything that you do to try to get the attention of customers. Sometimes it's called brand touch points. So if you're doing a newsletter or a blog, that's branding. And 99% of businesses jump into their branding without being clear about their brand identity. That's why so much branding really is sucky and boring, and we immediately disregard it. So I talk about the 3 Ds. We talk about differentiation. That's the first thing we have to be clear. That's part of what we have to focus on when we're creating brand identity. But then once we get clear about our brand identity, we start looking at, well, how should our website be? Or what kind of video should we do? Or what kind of branding should we do? The next D is we have to be disruptive. We can't just look at what everybody else does and say, oh, that's how we should do it. That's what everyone else does in our industry, so we should be like them. That's like putting on camouflage. That's like putting on camouflage and wondering why no one can see you. If you behave just like everybody else and look and feel like everybody else, you're invisible. So we have to be disruptive. We have to grab people's attention. We have to be sometimes tongue-in-cheek or daring, but it is always based upon that foundation, brand identity, who you really are, what you stand for, not just trying to copy the guy down the street because he had a clever idea. And then the third D is deliver experiences that excite and connect with customers emotionally. Because that's what we have when we work with a brand, when we do business. The whole process of doing business from start to finish is your brand experience. So think it through. From the very first second your customer touches your business, or that you touch the customer, think about the experience you're giving them. And that's how to deliver a unique brand that can have your customers coming back over and over and over and not worrying whether you're the cheapest or not.
Very interesting. Talking about that, delivering that connection and having that empathy with your customers, we have seen a little bit more lately that some brands are implementing this strategy. How important is for you to have like a great connection with your customers, that engagement, and what other aspects should we consider to help us create an effective connection or an effective relationship with our clients as part of our strategy, as well as delivering a great customer service?
It's 100% important. And the secret to success, once again, I think that for me personally in business, I get really worried. As a kid, I used to get really worried at the idea of huge faceless corporations taking over the world. And because what I love about business is that it's actually an expression of who we are. It's a way of caring for people. It's a way of making the world a better place. It's the few times I've accidentally put money first and been greedy, it's been a huge disaster for me. And I wasn't happy, and I made other people unhappy, and I felt really bad about it. So first of all, we have to really understand and really embrace that we're in a relationship with our customers. We are there to help them have a better life, no matter what you sell. So we have to understand who they are. And we have to use demographics. I like to use what we call psychographics, which is people's frustrations and aspirations. We need to understand who they are, what makes them tick, what they care about. And the more we know about them, just think the most significant relationships in your life, when it comes to buying your best friend a gift, you can think, well, hey, they love dining out. I'll take them for dinner. Wouldn't you take them skydiving if you knew they were afraid of heights? No, you wouldn't. So you base the gifts on what you know about your friend. And the same thing with your customers. We have to really make sure we understand who they are, what they love, what's important to them, so that we can incorporate that into the brand experience. People will buy from you if they like you and they relate to you. So that's what we do with the brand.
And they will come back to you if they're happy, even if there's a better price or any other company, like even for convenience, like they will come back to you.
And we all have examples of this. I mean, look at Apple. It's probably the perfect example. I'm talking to you on my Apple desktop. I text you earlier on my Apple, my iPhone. Everything I have is Apple because I truly relate to the brand. And I actually express I love Apple. It's this humongous, the biggest company on the stock market. Yet you can still have a personal feeling of love for the products and the relationship. So people are not as fickle as we think they are. And if we blame our customers, then we're missing out on a big opportunity to improve the relationship. Take responsibility. If your customers are fickle, it's your fault. If your customers only shop with you once, it's your fault. Which don't feel bad, but that means you're empowered. It means you can affect change instead of feeling like a victim to this unknown force of fickleness. So it's good news, really.
Yes, that's true. Some of the talking about trends. This year we have seen, like, well, this year in the next few years, we've seen content marketing, digital strategy, Internet of Things, and mobile technology that maybe help us to increase customer engagement that we were talking about earlier. There are so many, for instance, the use of predictive analytics, not only for production or creation of new services, but also to even understand customer behavior. There are so many out there. What do you think is the next big trend in branding specifically?
Well, I mean, all the things that you're speaking to here are fall under the heading of knowing your customer better. Mm-hmm. So the way I think about branding is kind of like this. The telephone, if we just go back to a device that's been around for anyone of any age range being involved in this conversation today. The telephone is the technology, and on both ends of the phone are two people. Facebook is an amazing technology, and on both sides of it are people. You're connecting with people. Texts, it's you and someone else. It's just a different form of technology. So when it comes to building a brand, as long as people are involved on both sides, so until we have robots buying, then we need to understand emotions. We need to understand psychology of people, of what makes them feel good, of what makes them feel not connected, of what makes them only start focusing on price. And a lot of companies think that their only secret to success is lowering price, and it's not. It's enriching the experience. So I'm not saying price isn't important. It really is important, but we don't have to be the idiot who always charges the least. That's a cop-out. We have to enrich the experience because that's what people really want. So as far as I'm concerned, the trend is it's going to become more and more specific to the individual, tracking. But the thing is, ultimately, those are still tools to connect with the right person who's going to emotionally connect with your brand. So I don't want to get sidetracked between what's the core of it, which is brand identity, and the tools that we can use to connect with our customers.
Yes.
Does that make so? The trends are really important. Because it's like this. I always say you've got to know where your customers are at. So if your customers all happen to be in the park on a Saturday afternoon, well, that's where you should be because you want to be near your customers. So if your customers are on Facebook, then that's where you should be. If your customers are wherever, that's where you should be. So we have to be aware of where the trends are, where people are hanging out, where people are going, and where people are putting their eyeballs. But we also have to be understanding, one of the things I feel about Facebook is people kind of go to Facebook when they're ready to finish work. It's like, oh, I just want to, let me go and see some kittens. Let me go and see what my friends are doing. Let me tell my friends about the fun I had at the park on Saturday. And they're not necessarily in the mood to shop. But there are times when people are definitely in the mood to put their hand in their pocket and spend some money. So we've got to understand, when are those times? There are certain websites people go to where they're really thinking about spending money, or social forums where they're really more, like LinkedIn is more business oriented. So people are actually more maybe in the mood to spend. So we've got to be aware of that too. It's not just where people are hanging out. It's where are they hanging out where they're open to spending money.
That's true. I even use one infographic, especially for Twitter, to know which are the peak times that people will read a tweet. So many useful tools that we can use.
But when is the peak time?
I could share it with you through LinkedIn. I don't remember the company. Probably don't remember the company, but I would share it with you definitely, because there's a big infographic and they update it almost every.
Oh yeah, I want to see it. I want to see that. That would be really cool to know that.
Really cool. Okay, David. we know that you mentioned before, you have worked with large and small brands. From your experience, what is the main difference between managing a mainstream name and working with a smaller organization? Should we approach them differently, or is it pretty much like the same formula?
That's a really good question. Ultimately, if you go all the way up to look at the big map to see where you're going and what you have to do, it's the same. The big problem that the large companies have, we have to have what we call consistency. So if we have, like, every brand has a personality, and that's something I really focus on, helping a company understand what's its attitude, what's its personality. So that if, for example, Zappos, they're a great company, they're amazing customer service, and they go above and beyond to be friendly and helpful. So the consistency that company has to have on every single brand touch point is to make sure they deliver that ultra friendly and helpful attitude, personality. So the bigger a company tends to get, the harder it is to manage consistency across all the brand touch points. We can't afford to have an old look in the video and a brand new look in the advertising, and it all doesn't mesh. So it can, when you hear about, like IBM rebranding and it cost them 500 million, it's because there's so much stuff has to be adjusted so it's all consistent. For a smaller company, the rules are the same. It's just that, like anything else, we can act much faster. We can rebrand on a dime sometimes and be done with it within 2 weeks or at least a month. So we can move faster, but the rules are the same. It's about remembering that on both ends of the equation are people. Even if you're selling the most mundane, I always joke, like, even if you're selling ball bearings, it was the most boring thing I could think of, ball bearings, but you still could build the most amazing ball bearing brand and make people feel fantastic about buying your ball bearings and not anyone else's ball bearings. So it's about heart, it's about connection.
Perfect, thank you. David, tell us, let's talk about your book, We're Famous, How to Create a Kick-Ass Brand. What's the biggest takeaway in terms of brand identity and customer engagement?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I want to talk about your book, and I want to know, like, what's the biggest takeaway in terms of brand identity, or like.
Okay. I'll tell you what people tell me. First of all, I want to tell you that writing this book was the hardest thing I ever did in my whole life, because talking about the emotional connection, you're revealing all of your own beliefs and your own strategies and your own processes, and all of a sudden you worry, what if I get ripped to pieces? What if this book gets trashed? What if people hate it and I'll be ruined? It was a lot of work, but as it happens, I get the most amazing feedback, and my book actually did win a Business Book of the Year award. So the takeaway that people tell me they get is that I didn't have any formal business training. I built my brand kind of by the good fortune of having worked with some really big brands and reading a lot of books, talking to a lot of people, and asking people, how do I do this? What do I need to do? And focusing on the most important steps. So really what I'm here to say, and I do say it in this book, there are masses of people just waiting to do business with you when they are so inspired. And what I do in this book is guide you through the process, step by step, of creating a brand and being able to create branding that does inspire people to choose you. So that's the takeaway. It's about standing apart in a way that makes people want to know more about you.
Come back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. David, in our next issue from the magazine, we're focusing in product packaging. In your opinion, all the 3Ds that we just talked about, that are like the brand components, essential, Are they related with packaging, or do you think
Yes, yes. I'm going to tell you a quick story. This is how I began my journey into branding, is packaging. We had landed a new customer. It was a Macy's store in Burlingame outside of San Francisco. And we'd moved our business to San Francisco. That's where we were headquartered. And we shipped the order to this brand new to this new customer. And 3 days later, they called and said, we haven't got the order. And we're like, well, you should have. And we said it's in brown cardboard boxes. It's got fragile stickers on it. So it should be easy to find. And then we reshipped it, and we overnighted it at great expense to ourselves. But we didn't want the lost order to be how our customer upset with us. So then they called us again and said, we still don't have the order. And like, you do, it's been signed for. So then I thought, you know what? I haven't even met this customer. One of my salespeople had sold them this order. So I said, listen, don't worry. I'm going to hop in my car. It's only half an hour's drive, and I'll come and see you, and we'll find it. So anyway, it was the first time I ever went to a Macy's shipping and receiving dock, and they're huge. They're massive. And guess what I discovered that day? Everybody shipped in brown cardboard boxes, and I'm supposed to be this expert in differentiation. And our orders were lost in this sea of brown boxes. So it took me 3 hours. I found both orders, but I knew I have a problem. I've got to do something about this. So we collected all of our employees, and we all sat we had a room called a party room, and we all sat around and brainstormed what do we do, and we didn't know what to do. But one day, it took a few weeks, and we came up with this idea. It was very tongue-in-cheek, but I realized afterwards, once I realized what branding really is, it was very disruptive. So we used white cardboard boxes, but we printed a big picture of my face and my business partner's face, big bubbles coming out of our mouths saying, here's your order, and thanks for your business. That was one side, right? On the next side, we had a quiz, and it said, who are the best looking guys on this box? I won. And then on another side, we had a list of handling instructions, and they were really silly instructions. Just stupid stuff like, please pretend this box is made of chocolate, but don't lick your hands. If you bring this box to the department that ordered it right now, your gift is you get to pop the bubble wrap yourself. And then the final one was, if you like this box, call this number. And we started getting calls from all over the country, from big burly warehouse guys saying, oh, we like your box. But what happened, though, is customers started to say, oh, you're the guys with that box. And then at trade shows, buyers would start telling other buyers, oh, they're that guy. Those, you should see their boxes. They're really funny. So then we used a whole wall of boxes in our trade shows. And that's what got us thinking, what else can we use this for? So packaging was where we got started in unique, tongue-in-cheek, disruptive branding. When people saw our boxes, they opened them immediately. They were like showing their friends, look at this box, look at these silly jokes. So it doesn't. So the secret is not that everybody has to print their face on their packaging or put silly rules. What I'm saying is we must be disruptive. Look at how everyone else packages in your industry and make sure you don't do it like that. Make sure yours is the one that stands out for specific reasons based on your brand. So packaging is really important.
That's a brilliant business case study for our readers. Like, very interesting. I need to get your book. David, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for this hangout. It was great to hear your insights, and it's a pleasure to meet you. This this interview will be in our next issue, the next month. I will make sure to share the magazine with you, and I will share the infographics about the social media analytics that I should be having somewhere in here. But thank you so much for your time. We appreciate. It's lovely to hear all your opinion. I will make sure to get the book. Very interesting, and we look forward to future collaborations.
I'm honored to be involved in your magazine. I love the fact that you've got a branding magazine. And if there's anything else I can do to help or contribute, just let me know. So Thank you so much. I had a blast. You're a great interviewer, and I'll speak with you really soon.
Thank you, David. Brilliant. Talk to you
Okay.
soon. Have a nice afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.